afternoon. This is Gazette Magazine's Andrew Lubin. Today we're talking with Bill Golden, Chairman and CEO of DefenseCareers.com. Bill, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Glad to be here. Always glad to help the troops and the Marines and the military in general.
Bill, the last couple of weeks, sequestrations hit the Marine Corps very hard. The amount of people having to leave is increasing. Commandant put a YouTube video on the other day describing saving the last bullet and saving the last gallon of gasoline. A lot of people are going to be getting out. What's an officer to do? How's the job market? How does an officer go about getting a job these days?
Okay, well, here's the good news. Marines are always in demand. The Marines have a very good track record, whether they are enlisted or officer. They have a great track record, and they're very popular with employers. In fact, the anecdotal evidence is that Marines tend to make more money in their paycheck than any of the other members of the armed services once they take off their uniform. So generally, there's good news. Just like anyone else who's looking for a job or a career opportunity out there, you want to know something about the community where you plan to go, and you want to have an idea as to what you would like to do. If unemployment is under 6%, there really is just plenty of opportunity for fairly rapid employment as long as your skills somewhat match up with the local community where you want to move to.
What does a young lieutenant or captain do who's getting out, probably combat arms, multiple deployments? What are the best fields for him, either East Coast or West Coast, and how does he find a job?
Okay, well, let me separate the lieutenants from the captains real quick, because there are two different challenges. A captain usually has some experience that they can put to work. I mean, by the time they've reached captain, they've done logistics, they've done basic intelligence, they've done operations. So they have a little bit more world wisdom about them. A captain really should have almost no issues finding employment, as long as the unemployment level is 6% or lower, or even if it's 7% or lower, there should be no issues. A lieutenant, on the other hand, has a bit more of a challenge in that more than likely much of their experience comes from one operational tour that backs up to their school training. And they don't necessarily have expertise in any particular field other than general management. But that said, there are people who care. And what a lieutenant should do, and a captain as well, is to make Google your best friend. Go to Google. Let's say you want to move to California. Go to Google and plug in JMO employment for junior military officer, and put in the word California, or if you want to go to New York City, put in New York. There are plenty of companies that are looking for junior military officers because they realize they have a great education. They have a lot of energy. They know how to operate under challenging circumstances. And so there are plenty of employers looking for them just within that category. Now, outside of that category, one of the things that every officer brings with them is basic project management. And I strongly recommend that project manager become the #1 career set that you search on. So if you're looking to go to wherever it is, let's say New York or Metro Washington, D.C. again, you want to search, if you're a lieutenant, junior project manager, if you're a captain, project manager, and don't necessarily search on any particular criteria other than location and the term project manager. See what pops up. Follow the leads. See what seems to be interesting to you.
Are there any parts of the country better than others for junior officer in project management?
There definitely is. You want to look for an area that has a couple things going for it. Number one, you want to look for area that has universities locally. Universities usually back up to technology or business. business centers, such as if you were going to North Carolina, you were getting out in North Carolina, I generally recommend that people do not stay there. The North Carolina economy is slightly beyond sluggish at the moment. But if you were going to stay in North Carolina, you would want to search out what is called the Research Triangle outside of Raleigh-Durham, where you have high-tech industry that's backed up, working with several of the universities, etc. They always need project managers, and one of the best companies nationwide that can put you to work, there are several, but two of them that I highly recommend are Microsoft and IBM Solutions.
But does a lieutenant or captain or whatever officer rank have the IT specifics to get a job like that, or
they're not?
How would he fit in?
Yeah, they're not really focused on IT. They're focused on putting someone in charge who is responsible for tracking actions, for making sure that things get done on schedule. You could think of it, the military often has these folks. They call them action officers, adjutants, desk officers, XOs. It really is the same job.
So the outlook then for an officer getting out of the Marine Corps the next 3 to 6 months is actually pretty bright then.
Yeah, I believe it's quite bright. If you look at a place like Northern Virginia, where as a whole, Northern Virginia is about 4% unemployment, and there are places like Fairfax that are 3.7% unemployment. There's North Dakota. You know, if you want to be outdoors, you're an outdoors type. There are two states that you want to head towards. One would be Montana, which has a very low unemployment rate. North Dakota has one of the very lowest unemployment rates. Texas is doing quite well. Oklahoma is doing quite well. In general, officers would fit within the business category that we call professional services. I was just looking at the employment level or unemployment level charts for the entire United States last week within the category of professional services, and all but 4 states are considered at the peak of hiring for professional services. So the reality is, if you're a project manager and you are willing to keep an open mind about what it is that you are managing and where you're going to work, there are just nothing but opportunities at the moment.
Well, that's good news then. What about the next level up? Majors, lieutenant colonels, and colonels. What's the outlook for them?
Generally speaking, let me break them into categories as well. A major should have no issue. A major brings plenty of experience with them. They normally they're occupying operational positions on staff or in command, or they're in major areas where they're constantly involved in operations. Majors are very employable. They should hit the ground running, and their paychecks are almost self-assured. Now let's look at lieutenant colonels and colonels. It can be a little bit challenging for these individuals, but for a far different reason. Quite often, and I know this may come across wrong, they've gotten comfortable with their paycheck. And what their skills on the outside, how they sell those skills and their paycheck that they earn on the outside may not be up to their expectations. It may be beyond their expectations. The bottom line is that when you get to those pay grades, you are often being paid at a level that exceeds what you can expect in the commercial market. Primarily because you really are looking at your ability to translate your skills, and lieutenant colonels and colonels often come in wanting to be at a certain status level, and industry is not looking for people to be in charge. Industry is looking for senior people who bring technical proficiency, and technical could be any career field. It could be finance, it could be food services, it could be petroleum, motor pools, whatever, transportation, whatever. So employers are looking for a level of technical expertise that translates to a senior whatever, a senior financial planning analyst, a senior petroleum, oil, and lubricants management, a senior transportation planner, etc. And sometimes lieutenant colonels and colonels have lost their technical edge, as it were, because they've been in command for so long that they don't know how to apply themselves. But the paycheck issue often trips them up, in that when I talk with these individuals, they often say, look, I currently make about this much money and I need this much money or more. And what I find is about 50% of the individuals I meet just cannot get that paycheck on the outside. So they've got to, there has to be some flexibility there.
On the other hand, they're receiving a retirement check at the same time, so the two of them, the two checks together, should be a relatively attractive living.
It is. I mean, it turns into a very nice sum of money, but your compensation should be based upon what your skills are worth. So for lieutenant colonel and colonel, what I recommend is that they really allow themselves 3 full months to job search. They want to network. Everyone from lieutenant, captain, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel. Networking is very important for different reasons. But certainly for a senior, networking is important, because if you're bringing technical expertise to an issue and you're looking for a really good paycheck, not paycheck plus retirement, but a paycheck, you normally can find the position that will pay what you want if you're going to give it 3 months to look and you're flexible as to where you're going to live and work. Now, by networking, let me clarify that.
Well, let's get back to that. What about the general level? If the lieutenant colonels and colonels are having an issue, what happens to the general level getting out of the Marine Corps?
They either go play golf. No, generals generally do fairly well. I have known a couple that have issues, but general officers normally do well, because what a general officer has going for them is that they constantly are networking. You know, we could think of them, and I'm certainly people in the military do think of them as being in command and having a command position. But really what a general officer does best is network. They're constantly involved in community groups, you know, they're constantly involved in liaison efforts, they're constantly involved in inter-service efforts. What a general officer brings with them is an incredible Rolodex, where if a general officer, again, they should allow themselves about 3 months to find a great position, but most general officers will have no trouble, because basically they let it be known through networking that they would like to go to Arizona, California, wherever, and they're looking for a position where they can make a difference. And for a general officer to say that your goal is you're looking for a position to make a difference, that is a very effective job statement, because there are people looking to hire you because you were a general. That does not apply to the other ranks.
So we've chatted in the past about the young enlisted Marines and what DefenseCareers.com can do for them, resume-wise, job search-wise, location-wise. What does DefenseCareers.com do for the officer level? Are you able to help them?
Sure we are. We have anywhere, it depends upon the day of the week and the week of the month, but we have anywhere between 9,000 to 12,000 opportunities across the USA and worldwide, where if you bring your skills, and we can help match up your skills to specific positions. Now, one of the things I recommend for officers is that you never include your rank on a resume. Never. There are a few companies that are looking to hire you as a former officer, and they're curious about your rank, but probably 90% of all employers do not care, and some of them actually see your rank on your resume as a negative. And it's a negative because it often indicates, I believe that I'm at a certain level, and this is where I want to fit with your organization, so they kind of push their rank. That's how an employer might see it. If you're an officer, you need to say, just like everybody else, I am seeking a medium level, a mid-level, or a senior level position as what, and then you need to tell me what it is you do and why I should give you a paycheck. That's what needs to go on your resume.
What other words of advice can you give our officers who are looking for civilian jobs today?
A couple of words. Avoid the words leader and manager. Military like to use that word leader. I am seeking a leadership position. That does not go over well in commercial industry. Commercial industry is looking for leaders, but a leader in commercial industry is someone who goes out and brings in business. A leader is someone who goes out and says, we're doing this with 20 people. I think I can do this with 15 people and increase profits. A leader is someone who goes out and is willing to take apart an organization and put it back together. And so a leader is not someone who is willing to come in, take over an organization, and just manage it better. Now, the word manager, the actual career field for managers, the Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that every year between now and 2020, the number of people who have manager in their job title will actually shrink about 3% per year, because we don't need managers. We have people who have great, wonderful tools that our productivity level is growing at twice the rate of our population growth, which is one reason jobs are not really just growing everywhere, because we're able to do twice as much per individual as we could just a few years ago, due to technology and process improvements, etc. So for an officer, avoid that word manager. You need to refer to yourself as, I am a senior transportation planner. I am a mid-level senior logistician. I am a whatever your career field is.
Is there a charge to the officer with defensecareer.com like many of the companies? Are you able to work? How does Defense Careers work with the officer?
We are basically classified advertising on steroids, as it were, for industry. Industry pays all of our costs. We never charge a career seeker anything. Period. Our job is to help match you up the best we can with industry. Now, that does not mean send me your resume. I have people who send me a resume and they say, contact me with job opportunities. No. What you need to do is send in your resume. We make your resume available to industry. And what you need to do is go in and search the job opportunities, and you need to send your resume to those companies for positions which you believe match. And so we provide a two-prong approach, as it were, to matching up the job seeker, and we do a pretty good job of that.
So the outlook then is pretty good across the board for the officers getting out the next 2, 3, 4, 6 months then.
Yes, I see no issues.
That's assuming they have a proper thorough job search.
That's right. And realize that a good job can take 2 to 3 months to come up on. I see too many people that get out, they take the first thing that comes along, and that really can be a mistake, because if you have great skills, you need to be willing to negotiate for those skills. And I've seen people give up $20,000 to $30,000 of pay per year because their spouse pressured them, or they themselves just did not know how to take off the uniform and wake up the next day and just live life without a basic plan. And so they panicked and they took whatever came along, and that often is a mistake. Go to Disney. Go to both Disneys, Florida and California. Take your time, relax, and just stay focused on identifying opportunities. And you can always contact us and say, I'm facing some challenges, or I'm in this area, I'm not real familiar with it. We'll be glad to help you out through email at no cost.